going to do is we're going to show you how to put that on. I'm right-handed, so I like to wear the rings on my right side.
I'm left-handed, I like to wear them on the right.
So there you go. So what we're going to do is we're going to bring the rings around our back. We want it to be nice and flat. We don't want a twist in it. We're going to bring the rings up nice and high. And then what we're going to do is we're going to gather the fabric up. I'm going to come up through the rings. Yep. And then we're going to come back down in between the two rings, just like a belt. Perfect. Alright, so, how are you going there? Brand new ring sling. It's going to be a little bit stiff, and that's probably something to consider as well. Some ring slings require a little bit of what they call breaking in, but once you start using it, it's like your favourite pair of jeans. You put it through the wash, stiffens up a little bit, but as you start wearing it and using it, it'll soften up. So what we're going to do here, the key to a ring sling is really setting up the rings from the beginning. So if you spend a little bit of time doing that, then you're setting yourself up to be able to tighten the rings properly later on once you put your baby in. So what we have here is a top rail and we have a bottom rail. So what we're going to do here with our rings is look for the top rail, and we want it to be sitting on the outside of the rings here. So mine's all gathered up in here, it's all a little bit scrunched up, so I'm going to bring it over to the end here. That's it. And then we're wanting to do a bit of a pinch and pull of the fabric so it's not all tangled up within itself. And we're looking for that bottom rail, and we're going to have that sitting on this side, on the outside of the rings here. So it takes a little bit of fiddling. Once you've learnt it, it'll take only 10 seconds and then you're set. Once you've done all that, the fabric's all free of itself. You can just pull that excess fabric through. You can go from there. The other thing to consider with this section here is what size baby is going to be going in. So I'm working with a smaller baby today, and Brooke's working with probably a larger baby. So she's going to make sure that she has a little bit of space in here, not too much so it's too loose and she's going to have to tighten a lot later on, but not too tight either, so you want a little bit of wriggle room, but enough to, if you put your elbow in, you should be able to have a little bit of space in there. So for me, I'm happy with how I've got this set up for a smaller baby. It's not too loose and it's not too tight. And I'm going to bring my rings up just nice and high here, just below my shoulder, sort of like the corsage position. So we're going to grab our baby. I'm going to bring our baby up to our shoulders if we're burping him. And it's really important here that we're going to be guiding our baby's feet by coming down underneath. One of the biggest things that I see people do is they start to push their baby's feet down from the top. That's not how you're going to get a really good seat. So we're going to grab our spare hand here. We're going to come up underneath the fabric, through here between us both. We're going to grab their little feet and guide them down and center them on our body and spread their little legs and have them sit on the fabric. As if they're on a little belt here. We're going to make sure that's going knee to knee. And then from here, we can come from underneath our armpit here and bring up that top rail, just up to behind their ear, not any higher. Now the key here is to make sure you are only bringing up that fabric. You're not bringing up any excess fabric. Excellent. So Brooke can probably tighten that top rail a little bit now, and then we're going to move on to the bottom rail. So Brooke's going to move in the fabric, in the direction, that the fabric is going, so across this way. And you'll feel it starting to tighten up. Fantastic. Now because she has a bigger baby, what we want to do is really create this seat. So what we want to do is guide that fabric from behind us and really draw it around in front. So that helps with making sure it's not too loose. Guiding that fabric around will make sure that you have nice support on your back. So Brooke's now going to come up in between her and the baby, in between there, and bring up that excess fabric up to the belly button. That's it. So from here we can now tighten through the rest of the carry. So Brooke's going to probably tighten up that top rail a little bit more, as much as you can. It is a new carrier.
It's really sticking there.
Then through the centre and then on that bottom rail. So I'm going to do the same here. I've got a little baby. I'll bring that fabric around. A lot of excess fabric there. I'm going to come up between us both a little bit, and then I'm going to tighten through the rest of the carry. So my top rail, moving in the direction of the fabric, and then that bottom rail there. Nice and tight. My rings haven't moved too much, because one of the biggest things that I see people do is they just pull this tail down, and then their rings can end up all the way over here. So working out where your top rail is and your bottom rail is at the beginning when you're setting up your ring slings will help with that tightening. So there we go, Brooke's baby's nice and happy, nice and high. Take your baby out of the carrier. What you want to do is hold them at all times. And what we're going to do is we're going to lift up that top ring there. The fabric's going to come through, and what you want to do is then just guide down the top rail. That's it. And we're going to just guide our baby up and out over our shoulder here and guide the fabric down. So we don't want to startle them. We don't want to be bringing them down underneath. We want to just bring them up to that burping position like we started. So another way to take your baby out of a ring sling, because Brooke and I are debating about really what's the best way to do this, what you're going to do is pull up the rings here, alright, and then you're going to undo the fabric from underneath the bum, bring the fabric up over their head, keeping hold of your baby at all times.